Yo! And welcome to my wonderful TED Talk about why you should not join a vtuber agency. But of course, there are various reasons for joining a vtuber agency. For example, you get a vtuber model and all the streaming assets which you don't need to finance by yourself. And vtuber models are hella expensive. So that's actually a huge advantage. And you get support from your management. And in the most cases, you already get a decent following and attention. And especially, of course, if you join a vtuber agency like Hololive or Niji Sanji. So a lot of VTubers have the dream to join once an agency and to become very popular. But I have to disappoint you. Working with an agency is not that wonderful as it might seem. And before we start with the disadvantages, a short disclaimer. I'm clearly not pointing out a specific agency here, since perhaps I know some details about some agencies for which I had to sign NDAs. So I'm clearly not leaking here anything. I'm just putting information together that are mostly already public. But also an important side note, most of the VTuber agencies have NDAs. Means that most of the information of the working environment is unknown. So let's start with the disadvantages that apply to the most companies. If you leave the agency, you lose mostly all your rights to character, since the company owns the whole brand and character. And in many cases, you're also not allowed to talk about your previous career. So you will probably lose all of your fans if you leave the company. But of course, there are a few exceptions. But even those are in most cases not allowed to talk about their previous career. But why you should even leave the agency? Isn't a supportive agency the best working environment for a VTuber? Sadly, no. Since second, you can have problems with your agency or group members. And even if the agency has a good public image, the management and support can be still very bad. And of course, you as a VTuber cannot talk about it, since you probably had signed some NDAs. A bad management can be, for example, one manager that has to work with too many talents at the same time. Or if the talents have to do nearly all of the work by themselves. Then the management is literally useless. And often you don't know if the management will be good or not. So you need luck for a good management, and you also need supportive group members. Since of course you're not the only one in the agency. But there's also another problem. Agency contracts are mostly very long. So nearly every agency has a contract with their talents, which is at least 1 year long. But in the most cases you will have a contract which is 2 years or even longer. Or even 3 years. And 3 years can be hella long if you think how fast popularity can fade away. So you definitely should rethink your decision if you want to join an agency. And especially when the contract is 2 or more years long. And this brings also another disadvantage. The risk of getting less attention the longer you are in an agency. Of course we know where the attention lies. That's right, on Rick Astley's thighs. No, of course, of the newest generation. And especially if you're in the first generation of an agency, it can happen that the attention on you will fade away. And maybe also the support of the agency. So maybe you can get less possibilities for your own projects. Like for example cover songs or originals, since the focus will probably lie more in the newest generation. And if your contract is 2 or 3 years long, this can be definitely in risk. So, I hope this gave you a new perspective. But of course there are more disadvantages. And this is only part 1. If you know some other disadvantages, feel free to comment them. And also feel free to share me your thoughts. And please support my channel, or you will never see the Rick Astley's thighs in my videos again. And bye!